right, continuing on with the TMCC Library Open Genealogy Lab Outstanding Guest Speaker Series, today we are pleased to present Amanda Meeks and Han Pham. Permanent.org is the only nonprofit digital archiving and preservation platform for family historians, genealogists, community activists, and anyone else interested in creating a digital legacy. Join Han and Amanda to learn about how Permanent.org works, their pricing and sustainability model, and why Permanent.org is uniquely equipped to build lasting digital archives. Han is Permanent's member journey coordinator, dedicated to creating personalized experiences for our members. With a background in UX design, she brings a unique perspective to understanding member needs, fostering empathy, and shaping a platform where individuals can build lasting legacies for future generations. Amanda is Permanent Legacy Foundation's Community and Partnerships Manager. She has over 10 years of experience as a professional academic librarian, where she focuses on community programs and instruction. They are also a practicing death doula, I hope I pronounced that right, death doula, with a commitment to supporting individuals through the process of creating and leaving a meaningful legacy. So I'd like to offer a warm virtual welcome to Amanda and Han.
Thank you so much for having us, Suzanne. We're really excited to present to you all a little bit about Permanent.org, the organization where we both work. And we're going to talk about preserving the digital legacy of your family and go through all of the things that Suzanne just mentioned. So we are first going to talk a little bit about the Permanent Legacy Foundation, who we are, what we do. Then we'll get into a little bit more of using it to preserve your family history, and we'll share how you can get started using Permanent.org and the next steps. So some additional opportunities for you all. So first, about Permanent Legacy Foundation. So we are a nonprofit organization, 501c3. We both created and maintain Permanent.org, which is our platform where people can do web archiving, digital archiving, either using the web app or the mobile app. And our focus is really on digital preservation. So we're more than just the cloud storage platform. We work with individuals, small organizations, and community groups. Not only do we provide cloud storage, but we also provide a lot of tools and features that really support family history and digital archiving. Whoops. So our mission is to preserve and provide perpetual access to the digital legacy of all people for the historical and educational benefit of future generations. So what that means is we work with sustainability in mind for the long-term preservation of your materials and not just short-term. And we're going to go into some details about how our platform works and share some of those features with you that allow us to do that. But we are also committed to removing barriers for folks who may not have the means otherwise to preserve their family histories or their personal legacies. These types of things, as someone who has a background in libraries and archives, this type of work is really important because it allows everyone to preserve and create legacies of their own. Whereas, notable people can often share their resources and archives with an institution. That doesn't work for most average people. And so this platform really does allow for more folks to participate in creating a legacy and documenting our history as it is. So we believe that all people leave a legacy that deserves to be preserved. And individual stories can change the way we see the world. And so that is kind of the why behind our mission and why we do this work every day. So now we'll talk a little bit about preserving your family history on Permanent. So when you sign up for a permanent account, you have your account and then you have archives. Archives are individual collections, so you can create as many archives as you want under the same account. And you can move between one archive to another. This is something that Han will demonstrate a little bit later, but this is definitely a feature that is really helpful for people who are working with, both their own family's history and maybe their partners, their husband, their wife, etc. And so, you can have multiple families, or if you wanted to divide it by your parents and their individual families. And so you can create these archives and really have a seamless experience that allows you to work on each individual one and share each individual one with the appropriate people. We also preserve any file type. So, whether you have photos, videos, documents, or audio files, these are all of the file types that we support on our platform. And so, you can work with many different types of files because oftentimes our files and our legacies are not made up of, just JPEGs or just PDFs. They often contain so many more types of files, and it's really important to make sure that all of those files maintain their integrity over time. And so that is something that our platform automatically checks for and will maintain over time as well. So a little bit about our cost model. This is one of the ways that we remove barriers and allow more folks to participate in digital archiving. We do not charge a subscription fee. So each gigabyte is purchased for $10. And that is your gigabyte for, well, indefinitely. So if you create an archive that consists of 10 gigabytes, then you've likely paid $100. And that is set for the remainder of time. So you can pass that archive on to another person, and they also don't incur costs. Our storage fees, so the $10 per gigabyte fees, and any donations we receive go into our endowment. And our endowment covers the cost of storage and maintenance of your files over time. So that is a little bit about how we've set up our fee process and made a system that's very similar to how libraries and archives and museums operate, that will allow for long-term preservation without a financial burden for you or your family members. So the next feature I want to mention is the ability to collaborate with others. I mentioned this earlier when I talked a little about the individual archives and the multiple archives that you can create. But the other feature that's really nice about that is that you can collaborate with other people. You can invite them to contribute to your archives. You can make them, you provide the access that you want. So whether that's an editor, a manager, just a viewer, that allows you control over who can add what to the archive and who can do what within the archive. And so we do have a page that kind of outlines all of the different roles, but this makes it easier if, say, you have a cousin in Australia who has some materials from that would be beneficial to your archive. You can invite them and they can upload them themselves, and you can collaborate that way. You can also import your memories and your family trees directly from Family Search. We do have an integration with Family Search. And so that's something that we always like to emphasize. And that allows for a little bit more of a seamless archiving process as well. So this is one of the ways that Permanent is uniquely positioned to help you preserve your archives long-term. We provide a feature called Legacy Planning, and this helps you ensure that your legacy is passed on to appropriate people upon your death or incapacitation. And you not only set up a legacy contact for your account, but you can also set individual archives to have separate stewards. So an archive steward would take over ownership in the event of your passing, and could either, continue working on your archive, maintain it, etc. You get to decide kind of what you would like them to do in your advanced directive here. And it is a really important feature for the longevity of your archives. So that's something that is built into our system and very easy to use. And we have a bunch of helpful videos on both the technical and the kind of emotional aspects of setting up legacy plans. And so I would encourage you to check those out if you are curious. To get started, creating an account on Permanent is free. And we provide 1 GB of free storage to every account holder. So that's worth, that gets you pretty far in terms of digital archiving. For some people, that's actually enough to create their entire digital legacy. You can create as many archives as you'd like, as I mentioned earlier. And those collaborating can also make free accounts and view your materials. So again, this is a very low cost and mostly free program that you can take advantage of. And I'm going to pass it over to Han, who's going to talk a little more about getting started and share a demo.
Thank you, Amanda. Hello, everyone. I'm Han. I'm going to go over a couple more slides here and to go over some details of how we can walk you through creating a free account and what it looks like. And then I'll walk through a whole tutorial and just, showing you how to navigate through our platform. So to create a free account, you're going to go onto permanent.org, and then you'll click on sign up. And this is the pop-in screen that you'll see, and you'll go through, inputting the usual information of name and password. Go ahead, Amanda. Thank you. And then we'll come to the next screen, and it'll ask you, what kind of archive are you planning to create? And there are a couple different, selections that you can go through if you wanted to create one for yourself, a family member, or, of your entire family, or if you're a part of an organization, maybe you wanted to make a archive for Truckee Meadows, you could do one for an entire organization. There are many different options, and choosing one that fits you best allows you to be able to personalize your archive a little more. And then you can also, add in a archive name. That way you'll see later on, you could search your archive on our public gallery if you decide to publicize the archive. Thank you. And there's going to be a question that pops up, and it's about asking you what your goal is for creating this archive. And this question is to help us both at Permanent, curate and tailor an experience for you, and how we could support you in your archival journey, but also kind of like a little snapshot of features of what Permanent could do for you for building your legacy. Okay, so let me share my screen and we'll go through what building an archive looks like. Okay, so once you go through the creating your account settings as we just went through, you'll be dropped into a screen that looks like this. And so you'll have a little welcome message and it'll tell you first 3 steps to get started. So we'll click get started here. And I highly recommend going through this checklist here that we have that's used to help you navigate through all the tasks that will get you ready and get started on permanent. But as you are able to go through that yourself, I'll show you what actual archive looks like. I'm sorry about the dog in the background, if you can hear him. Let me switch over here. And so here you'll see this is what permanent.org, our site looks like. And I'll sign, normally if you're gonna come in, you're gonna hit sign up, but I'm gonna hit log in so you can see what an archive looks like. Let me re-log in here to my actual account so you can see, I want everybody to see what a built out account looks like. Amazing. So here you'll see this is a test account that we like to use for demos. And so Astronomy of the Day archive is the archive that we're in. As I go through, I'll try to talk through everything as in detail as I can, but of course, please drop anything in the chat and we'll be able to answer those questions. So first, I'll take you over here to the top right corner. You can see my email, and this is everything that you're going to see that has to deal with your account information. This is on the account level. So on the account level, you can see that I have, I've only used 58 megabytes of the 2 gigabytes that I have. You can see how much storage you have, and we'll go into here. You can, through the account dashboard, you can add or gift storage. So like Amanda said earlier, we are a pay by gigabyte platform, non-subscription. So if you say you use up your 10 gigabytes here, you can add up to however many gigabytes you want per time. So if I wanted to add 10, I'll click 10 here and just purchase it per gigabyte. You also have the opportunity to gift storage. So if a family member or a friend of yours was also on permanent and you wanted to say give them a gift for the holidays, you just have to add in their email. You can even write a short little note here and sending their gift into their storage. Now, if someone sent you a gift because they were so kind and they wanted you to be on permanent, you could come in here and redeem your gift code. And so when you start on permanent, you're going to get a welcome email, and this welcome email will also include the 1 free gigabyte storage code on us that we were talking about before to help you get started. And you'll type in that gift code, you'll type in that gift code here, and then you'll hit redeem, and you'll see the 1 gigabyte pop up on your storage. You also have the management view of transaction histories. If anything that you wanted to see, just as a visual to keep track of, and also a file history of everything that you've uploaded, which is pretty cool. So that's everything that has to do with storage on the account. And then I think the biggest thing here to recognize is that on one account, you can make as many archives as you want. So basically, you only need one permanent account, but you can make as many collections as you want. And so you can see here that I have a lot of archives that are either shared or I made myself on this one account. And so the archive that we're on is the astronomy photo archive. You can also kind of see if it's a bit small, but if you can look in there, you can see an access role, and I'll go over that a little more. But so this is a shared archive with myself, or someone else shared it with me and gave me an access level of a manager. And I'll go over what all the other access roles are. You can also, if someone were to say they shared an archive with you and you haven't accepted that yet, it's going to be living in here under pending archives, which I have none right now, but you'll see it pop up and they'll say you're invited to this archive, and you just accept. And if you wanted to create a new archive, so a new collection, say you have one about your son and you want to create one for your daughter now, you can come in here, hit new archive, and create a new archive for that person or organization. So we're still on the account level. I wanted to share what an invitation looks like, just in case, just because a lot of our members, they share that they want to collaborate with others on the account, and this is how you would send an invite. So say I created an archive and I wanted to share this archive that I created with Amanda. I would type in Amanda's name and Amanda's email. And I'll hit send invitation. So then you'll see that pop up over pending invitations, but Amanda already has an account, so you'll see the red pop up over here. But if the person that you've invited doesn't have an account yet, you should get a green message. And then you'll see the pending invites here, if they've accepted, if they haven't accepted. And yeah, this is just to keep track of like how many invites you had. So that was everything on the account level. And now I'm going to dive one step lower into my archive. So you'll see all of the archive details here. Oops, sorry, let me move Amanda's over a little bit. So you'll see on the left side over here, when you're dropped into an archive, this is what you're going to see. I'm currently in the Astronomy Photo of the Day archive, and I am the manager of this archive. And if you wanted to see more details of it, you can hit this button where you'll see all of the this archive's information. So you can go into the profile, connections, you can see who else is an archive member or a member of this archive, and also the settings. And I'll go into the archive profile so you're able to see what it looks like. Here is where you're able to really go in and personalize your account. You're able to set a banner photo for if you decide to publicize your archive. This is the banner photo that you'll have, and of course, change your profile photo if you choose. This is, all of the information if that would be displayed if you do choose to publicize your archive. Even if you don't, it will still stay on there. And this is for anybody you share the archive with. They're able to read, what is this archive for, telling us with a description, and you're able to add, any website links or, social media that you might have that's like linked to this archive. And then one of my favorite things about, our permanent archives are the milestones that we're able to add. So one of the things that I built out for my mom on a recent archive that I built for her is I'm able to add in the milestones of her life. And so one of the recent things that I added, just because I'm trying to catch up on my own digitization, is my mom's 50th birthday pictures. And so I came in here and I added in the milestone of when that day was, and adding in the photo in a little bit more detail. So I'll show also an example of what milestones look like in a minute here. So like I said, that's your archive profile where you're able to update all the descriptions, information about the archive for anybody who you share with, and just if they needed a background. It's kind of like the archive bio. Going into the archive members, so you're able to see here everybody who has access to this archive and all of the different access roles that they have. Let me add a member so you're able to see. So if I wanted to say add, somebody else, I'll put down an email, and I'll also be able to add their access level. So what this means is when you share an archive, you're able to give the end user, a different level, meaning if you only want them to view and read whatever's on your archive, meaning they can't edit anything, you would leave them as a viewer. A contributor, an editor, and a curator all have a little bit different levels, meaning like some might be able to edit like the metadata, some could not. And a manager of an archive has basically access to almost everything that the owner does, but the only thing is that you can only have one owner of the archive, multiple managers, curators, editors, and contributors, viewers, and whatnot. So that gives you a little bit of an upper hand, kind of You know, some people you might just want to share the archive with, some others you want them to, you know, add their own pictures. Say it's a family, you're creating a family archive and you want to add your aunt in, and she has photos that, you know, she wants to add in. You can add her in as a curator, and she'll be able to have access to this archive and add in her photos, add in metadata and whatnot. So yeah, it gives you the power to, you know, uh, create the access level that you'd like and who you'd want to share with. So yeah, that's a little bit more about the archive settings, and the background of how you could edit just the collection itself. Now I want to talk a little bit more about the platform in general and navigating around. So when you first join Permanent, we're going to drop you into what is called the private files. So the private files is the private workspace. You see all the materials that I have in here. Anything that's in my private file is private to me. So if I were to, anything I upload in here, you can't search it, you can't see it. It's just you and yourself only. If I move over to the shared files here, this is anything that I chose as a specific element or a specific material that I wanted to share with somebody else. And so you could see that I chose to share, you know, my Christmas, a Christmas portrait of 2012 with another archive, which is the Callahan Family Archive. And you can see that I've shared them as an access of an owner, and this one, they're only a viewer. So, oh, interesting. Why did that change? I'll let that know. Yeah, so anything that's in the shared files here, it's a list of you know, materials that you've shared with another archive. So if I've logged into the Callahan Family Archive, this image, this picture will also be in their shared files. And as moving over to the public file, so all of the materials that you find in this workspace here will be shared on your public profile. And so on Permanent, you have a private profile and you also have a public profile. The way that you are able to move things, say from a private space to the public space, you would easily just click move here, and you can click it over and move it to your public file. And that's, you know, anything that you'd want to share with on the internet. So that's anything you move into your public file here. Might get a little confusing. Anything you move into your public file will go into your our public gallery. And so what I'll go into here. So our public gallery is you know, an online display of archives or archive accounts that, you know, they've built out and wanted to share with the rest of the people on Permanent. And so you're able to, you know, search up archives here. If I wanted to search up my own archive, say the Han Fam archive, I could go into here and you could see that it will pop up. And so if I clicked on this, it will go into what is my archive profile. So this is the public profile of my archive, and you can see these are photos or documents that I chose to share publicly on my file. But of course, all of the other ones did not show up because I still kept them in my private. Yeah, you can see here a little about me. I am a dog lover. This is my dog Khaleesi, one of the two dogs that I have. And let me see here. If you click onto public profile, you can see I didn't write a full bio out, but just as a example, you can see this archive bio. This is a bio about me, and this is also the bio, but also I think this should be the about, yeah, which is, I'm just trying to show that there are two different fields that you can include, and one's a shorter snippet, one should be a little longer about my bio. And then here are where the milestones should show up, which I'm sorry, guys, let me see if I can find a different one, and now that'll be a better example. But moving back to our workspace here, like I said, this is whatever you see here is on one archive. And you can see the, you know, this is the quick upload button, whatever you wanted to upload here. I don't know if you can see the pop-up, but anything you wanted to pop up and upload there. You can create new folders that are inside your archive. So if I wanted to put these two in a folder right here, I could just hit new folder and add that into a folder. So on Permanent, whenever you upload any type of material, the way that Permanent make sure your legacy and the compression of your file maintenance stays is that we make a copy. So you'll have a permanent copy and also the original copy, and that goes both into your permanent archive. You have access to both. What I mean by that is you could say I click into here for an image and I wanted to access, I forgot to show you. So if I clicked onto here, on the right side, you could see all of the metadata that was either attached or edited onto the specific material. And so I click save here. You can add alt text, tags, the custom metadata that you choose. You could either add location and everything like that. What I wanted to show you is that as you go down to the bottom all the way, there's a download button. And you could see there's an original format of which you originally updated the material, and then there's also a permanent format in which permanent just creates copies. So then, if there was, that's what keeps your digital legacy going forever. A couple of features I would like to go over just before, that I think that are appealing and would be useful for everybody here is one, the app files. I heard everybody talking a lot about family genealogy, and we have a connection to the Family Search organization. So if you have a Family Search account, you're able to sign in and move files or upload directly onto your permanent account. Another thing that I wanted to go over is what we call legacy planning. So Amanda kind of touched over it a little bit earlier, but your legacy plan is, how we at Permanent are helping you pass on your legacy to the next generation. And so, this might be a little confusing, but let me start over. Your legacy plan is based on your account first. So we'll go into the account level here, and we'll go into what says account, and we'll go over to a legacy contact. So what a legacy contact is that if, in any case of something happening to you, your legacy contact is the person that Permanent will contact and I'm sorry, let me go back. Your legacy contact is the person that will be contacted based off of, a long time. I'm getting this mixed up. I think I am. The legacy contact determines what should happen to your materials in the event of your death or incapacitation. So this person is designated to be the alert to Permanent. So if there was a passing, or some say this person should be the one to contact Permanent and let us know of the unfortunate event. So as we go through and we edit the contact name, you could set this to anybody, whoever you think would be the best to be aware and contact Permanent on your behalf. And so you can save that here, save it to the legacy contact, and this is for your entire account. And going through, I know some people might have more than one archive, so we're going to go in and set the archive steward. Sorry, this is a lot of wording. Let's see here. Legacy planning. Oh no. Oh, right. Okay, so it says this here because I am not the owner of the archive. Sorry, that's a great thing to know. Only the owner of the archive can set an archive steward. So what an archive steward is the person who will be relinquished to your materials. And so once, let me go through and find an archive that I'm actually the owner of so I can show you. Perfect. So I'll go over to archive settings and we'll go into legacy planning here. So who the archive steward is this is the person that's going to be receiving this archive and who we are going to relinquish this archive over to. So that might be a little confusing. So let me go over that one more time. The legacy plan is to help us help you keep your legacy going forever. And by doing that, you need to, You need to set up a legacy contact. This person is going to contact Permanent and let us know on your behalf of the unfortunate or the events that happened. And so as you added that legacy contact, this person will contact us. Once that happens, your legacy plan will be enacted, and whoever is your archive steward, we will send them an email saying, "Hey, this this was an archive that belonged to this person, and they assigned you as the archive steward," which then entails we will relinquish the materials over to them, and they will be the next person in succession of your legacy. So that's a newer feature that's on Permanent, but something that we think is very important to pass on your legacy, your family history to the next generation. Let me see quickly on my checklist, just making sure that I got everything. And I think I do. So I will pass it over back to Amanda to go over next steps on Permanent.
I am excited to share the next steps. So thank you, Han, for going through the platform, and for folks who are wondering about our mobile app, that does look different. It functions differently than our web platform, but it is also really great for capturing things on the go and uploading directly from your phone. So that's also an option, and has almost all of the same features as the web platform. They're just laid out slightly differently, of course. So to take your first steps towards digital preservation, we are encouraging you to create a free account, create your first archive on Permanent. Han mentioned the checklist that lives in Permanent. That is a great tool to help you get started in creating your first archive and setting it up how you want it. And then make sure you redeem your free gigabyte of storage. So when you sign up, you have to confirm your email in order to receive that gigabyte within your archive and Permanent account. And then we encourage people to start with the most important family history documents you have. So we like to say 5, but this group probably has many more since you all are pros. And last, we're also encouraging you to join the Legacy Lab, which is a kind of DIY program with some guidance from our staff. It starts on October 7th. So Han, would you mind dropping the link in the chat for folks? So if you go to our website, at the top level navigation, you'll see a link for Legacy Lab, and that kind of details what the program is. Essentially, it's a 4-week program where you receive daily emails, some video lectures, and there's a weekly call on Fridays where folks can kind of come together and learn a little bit more and ask questions and get help and share kind of where they're at in their process. And we've had some really great public archives come out of this program the first time we ran it, and we're excited to offer it again since it was in high demand the first time. And yeah, I think the cohort that we have already gathered is pretty large, and very excited to be part of it. So, and these are for folks who are new to using Permanent as well as new to genealogy. It's kind of both those are the types of folks who sign up for it. So that leaves us with your questions. And I'm going to stop sharing so that people can ask questions and don't have to stare at the screen.
All right, I'll open it to the class. If you have a question, please unmute your microphone, but please leave your camera off since we are recording. And while I'm waiting for some questions to come in, I got so many questions. When you put in a photo, very often there's a whole story behind the photo, you know, like a graduation, you know, or a birthday party, or, you know, whatever going to Disneyland, you know, what does it matter? There's so many different stories. Is there, like, you know, when you label the pictures to tell the story, is there like a maximum amount of characters, or, you know, how long can you go to tell the story about that photo?
Yeah, so our description section doesn't have a max number of characters, actually. And we have really robust metadata tools that would allow you to add whatever metadata you would like to give your photo context. So yeah, there's the title, the description, and location, those like standard fields. And then there are custom metadata options as well.
There's some good questions in the chat box. I just wanted to point out to the class, if you haven't read the chat box, please do. And Marion has her hand up. Go ahead, Marion.
So you're talking about there's not a limit to character for your description. Is there a choice of font or size of font?
No, that is fixed and universal across the platform.
What media can you download? Videos, MP3, PDF files, images, JPEG. I mean, what?
Yeah, so Permanent is what we call file format agnostic. So you can really use you can upload and download your files no matter what they are. It doesn't play very nicely with Google files. It turns them into PDFs. But otherwise, I haven't had any trouble uploading any other type of file.
Thank you.
I'll add to that a little. So on Permanent, we accept all files, but we will convert them into a file type that is accepted by Permanent. So say, you know, what Amanda just said about the Google files, say you download a Google document, we'll keep that original format for you, but we'll also convert it into a permanent file that will be able to show up onto your permanent archive.
Yeah, and I just want to, I know some folks were asking about the Legacy Lab, and so I want to say that out loud for the recording since the chat won't be part of that. But the Legacy Lab does start October 7th, so you can register up until then. It is a pay what you can program, so donation based. And we plan on offering it twice a year, once in October and once in March every year. And yeah. Any other questions about that, feel free to raise your hand. And Wendy.
Thanks. I have a couple questions. So I'm a retired trust officer, so I'm just curious about legacy and the funding of your endowment. And I guess the question is if we're going to put a lot of work into getting this information in there, $10 doesn't seem like very much, and I appreciate that, and it is pay, if you want to pay more, but what's the longevity? And I mean, so I'm looking at like, when you have where you can have the next benefit, what I call the next beneficiary, that's the owner, is this going to be 1, 2, 3 generations out? So that's my first question.
Yeah, so the endowment, basically the interest on the endowment is set up to pay for the storage long term. So the cost of storage over time actually decreases. And so, the way that it is set up now, the costs are covered indefinitely.
I guess I'm, about your guys, you have to also have staff. I mean, we have to pay your guys' salary too and things like that. So, I just want to make sure that, it's something that's going to be there. There's going to be new Hans and new Amandas somewhere down the line when you guys retire.
I think, yeah. Currently, all of our operational funds are paid for by a very generous donor. And so and we are always working towards, supporting the operations through the endowment as well. So the more we grow the endowment, the more sustainable the organization is. We're looking into grants, we're applying to grants and that sort of thing. So it's because it's a nonprofit, it does require some effort to like raise funds and secure grants and generous donors.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And then so I don't know if you can go through and show us how to transfer a tree and what a tree looks like on your system. And let's say that I'm working on my tree and I don't want to wait until 10 years from now and upload it. I want to upload it now, and then I want to upload it later. You know what I'm saying is once I've got more information in there. And I know we have a few people that in our class that don't like, you want to set something permanent in stone, and some of the other programs like on Family Search, we can do our best to put the information in there, but people can change that. So having a permanent place to put our tree where nobody can dink with it unless they're a contributor later down, like one of my beneficiaries. But just curious what a tree looks like and how you put it on there. So, and those are all my questions. So thank you.
Yes, Wendy, that's a wonderful question. I have a question for you just to clarify. When you say tree, are you trying to build a tree on Permanent, or is this a file of your family tree that you already have and you wanted to upload it onto Permanent?
Yeah, so let's say I have something in Ancestry, and I'm envisioning this as like I'm taking a snapshot of what that tree looks like and putting it on there. But when on Ancestry we get a big spreadsheet, then you can hit a button and it keeps going out. So I'm just trying to figure out how that's going to look on your program.
Gotcha. Okay, great question. I don't have an Ancestry to log into, but I could show you how a file upload works and what it looks like. And maybe that would help. Let me share my screen really quickly.
Han, can I interrupt for a second?
Of course.
So I think Wendy is asking specifically about our Family Search. Possibly that's the only integration where we can take a family tree from another site and directly upload it to Permanent. We don't have plans at the moment to link with Ancestry or MyHeritage, but that doesn't mean you can't, like Wendy's describing, take a snapshot of your work on those sites and add it to Permanent. I do want to add there's a link for uploading your family tree to Permanent from Family Search that I just shared in the chat. And I think for the sake of time, we might not be able to do a live demo of that one.
That's okay. And that might be something you would add to that training if it's working with genealogies. But so when you take the Family Search tree, is going to be like a snapshot. So that's going to be what you have visually proofread and go, that is my tree and I want to put it in Permanent, and nobody could change that picture. Right. Okay. Correct. All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Amanda, for the clarification.
Amanda, that link you just put into the chat box for the sake of the recording, is that link on your website?
Yes. So we have a knowledge base, a database full of support and tutorial help articles. And so yeah, if you go to our website and go to resources and guides, that'll take you to all of our support materials, and you can, quickly type in a search for family search, for example, which is what I did, and just pull that up. And you'll be able to access it without an account or anything like that.
I see Randall just put in the chat box, GEDCOM. Do you take GEDCOM files?
We do. Mhm.
Okay, great. Also, Wendy, I wanted to point out, most of the websites now, like Ancestry, and MyHeritage, they have the ability to print out family reports, with the proper numbering systems. So, that's another option if you wanted to, download those reports and put them into permanent. That might be an extra way of helping future generations to understand the family tree. I have a question. A lot of times family photos, might have 10, 12 people in them or more, for like a good example would be family reunions, where you might have 50 people in a picture. How do you have the ability to tag those peoples in the photos?
Oh, so you're talking about like kind of like on Facebook where you can like tag a specific point on a photo.
Yes.
No, we don't have that capability.
So in the case of like 50 people in a photo, you would have to write down like from left to right, first row, second row, third row. Is there any plans in the future to be able to tag photos?
I believe that is in our roadmap. But I would have to double check that and make sure. Han, do you remember if that's part of our roadmap?
We discussed it, but I can't. It's been a while. I would have to check too.
Yeah, we know when there's one or two people in the photo, it's a no-brainer. You can do that easily. You could just say, from right to left, here's Susie and here's Johnny, you type thing. But when you
Yeah.
get 50 people in the photo, and especially because people don't always line up in straight rows at family reunions,
Totally.
and right now people who are alive, probably know who all those people are. But 200 years from now, no one's going to know about those people if they're not labeled.
Right. Yeah. And I think one of the things that I always encourage people to do is if you have an account and you're working on permanent and you notice something like that, where you're like, oh, this feature would be really helpful. We are very responsive to our members and your needs. So we try to work towards like the types of things that really support you and your archiving work and build those into our roadmaps and prioritize them based on, demand and need.
Okay. Gosh, I have so many questions. Recently I had an aunt who passed away very suddenly from a stroke. What happens if there's a sudden death and nobody, you didn't put a legacy person into your account?
That is a good question. Usually if somebody has access to the account, then they can get access to it. They can log in and, set up whatever they need to set up to give themselves access. But yeah, we don't have I don't think we can share account information with somebody who isn't listed without, being very certain that the person has passed and that the next of kin are in fact the ones requesting access.
So they would have to prove that they're next of kin, like
Yes.
like in a death certificate or a birth certificate, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
there is a way. I guess that was my next question. There is a way, if no legacy person was, because I mean it happens, life happens,
Of course.
and not everyone is so organized, and that kind of brings me to my next question. So let's say I have a legacy person on my account. I don't have any children, but
Mhm.
I have nephews, and I could put them on my legacy account. But what happens if like 50 years from now, when I'm gone, let's say they don't have any interest in it and they grow old and die, but they don't put a legacy person on there. Would
Mhm.
it be possible for somebody to contact you and say, do you have an account for this person? And how would they know that it was me from 100 years before? I mean, could have been my nephew or his children when they grew up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the best possible solution to that problem is to set up your legacy account so that it is somebody who has interest and knows how the platform works. But in the event that you don't have somebody, which isn't that uncommon, you could also set it up so we're working on a feature where it'll allow you to say, like, publish this archive in 50 years, publish this archive in 100 years. You can also donate your archive to Permanent, and then we just become the stewards of it, and keep it as is, or follow the wishes that you laid out in your legacy plan. So those are the best ways to get around that. Otherwise, I can't say for certainty like what we would do 50 years from now. Since I don't know if I'll be around in 50 years, and I can't speak for whoever will be.
You know, we've been talking in this class. In fact, we had a guest speaker a couple weeks ago about setting up your legacy for your family info and how to do that. So we've been talking actually a lot about this in class lately. But the one thing I wanted to kind of emphasize to the class today is that the best way to preserve your family history is to deposit it in as many places as you can.
Yes.
Because one company might go bankrupt, 50 years from now and be gone. And if that company, is gone in 50 years, your information is gone as well. So depositing it in as many places as possible is the best way to ensure it lives long term.
Yes.
And I'd like to challenge the class between now and next Friday, to go ahead and try Permanent and share it with the class next week, and give us your experience information. I know not everybody has time, in between Friday to Friday to do things, but even if just a few of you set up an account between now and then, and share it with us next Friday, that would be really appreciated. Let's see here. I know you said that 1 gigabyte is free, correct?
Yes.
About how many photos can you put in for a gigabyte? I realize photo size vary from picture to picture, but on an average, how many pictures is that?
I believe it's around 500. It's a significant amount.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. I had another question. You showed the different granting access to to account, like contributor, editor, etc. How do you find out the definition of each one of those? In other words, how do I know what rights I'm granting other people?
Yeah. We have a whole. Are you getting that article, Han? Thank you. We have an article in our knowledge base that covers access levels and what each designated role means. So Han is going to put that in the chat momentarily.
Let me just check the chat box here. I see a lot of activity going on.
It's there, Suzanne.
Oh, go ahead.
Suzanne, may I ask a question, please, to the party?
Yes, go ahead.
And it's in regards to the photos, because some of us refer to and save our photos in RAW, which is a very large format. It's not a JPEG format. So that would eat up that number very, very fast. So it's my understanding to the previous part of your presentation that if something like that was to happen, you can convert it into a smaller digital file that fits the foundation requirements differently than what we are doing, correct? Am I stating this correctly? So
Sorry. Could you
do
repeat the question?
Understand my question? Okay, my question is, some of us who are photographers choose to use raw photos, what we call raw format, which is a very large format. It's an editable format so you can manipulate the photo. And a lot of us out here in the genealogy world tend to use things raw rather than in a JPEG or a PNG format, which is a very small format. It's not a lot, it's large. So if I understand your presentation correct, we then, with this, the steward of our files then would need to purchase a larger plan to cover that format for you folks, correct?
We don't
It scales
have,
up. The way
yeah.
you have it, it scales up. What would you would charge us if we
Yeah.
need a certain, we would have to go into that next category of what we would have to send. It's not a lot. What you charge us is nothing. And that is wonderful that the underwriter to the foundation is doing this, because what you're doing is is a wonderful thing for us out here, because it's a question that comes up many times in the genealogy world. Where am I going to give my stuff to? Because no one in my family wants my stuff. This is a phenomenal format. I just going to shut up, but I just wanted to compliment you on it because I'm quite aware of yours, and I actually have an account with you all. So I think it's a wonderful thing that you offer.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. And so if I'm understanding the question correctly, you are asking about whether you would have to pay more because your files are larger.
Yes.
The short answer is yes. It's because we charge by the gigabyte, but that cost is a one-time fee. And so there wouldn't be any additional costs later on for archive stewards or anything like that who inherit your photos. So that is definitely a factor in, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's wonderful.
Does that
Thank
answer your
you.
question?
Yeah, it does answer the question, because I think it's wonderful that you're not doing what we refer to out here in the world as a rental. We're not renting the system. We're actually, it's a one-time fee, and that's where it stays at it, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, those incurring costs are really difficult. And then if somebody, does inherit it who has no interest in it, then all of your hard work is gone.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Gosh, I've never seen such activity in the chat box. My goodness, people are just really going crazy with questions. I have a question about customer service. So many companies now are just doing the FAQs, with the question mark, on the top of the screen where you just click there and you type in your question. Is there a live customer service, or is it the Legacy Lab only?
So we have our member success manager, Caitlin, couldn't be here today. And she is essentially our customer service. And so emailing support@permanent.org will get a response typically within 48 hours. And, if a question is, significant and requires some guidance, she's really good about meeting with people.
Well, that's really great, because it's nothing more frustrating, because so many companies are now going to just the community-based answer. They'll refer you to a community, and that's so frustrating. Oh my goodness, that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Now I have a question about security. I, like you, I'm an academic librarian, and I've served on a lot of committees in colleges over the years. And one of the committees I served on was our IT committee. And I know we, just for security purposes, we take schools take their information and they store them on remote servers, in many times around the world, in safe countries, for fear of being hacked. Does Permanent do the same thing?
So we have all of our data is backed up in 3 different locations on 3 different servers. And I think that the security that we have in place through two-factor identification and things being encrypted has been pretty substantial. And do you have anything to add to that, Han, about security and privacy?
I'm so sorry. I was trying to answer. I was trying to
no,
answer a
okay.
message in the chat. I did not hear the question.
No, that's okay. I think I covered it, but I think that our files are secure in that they're stored in multiple places, considered cold storage on servers, and we have a pretty tight login system and verification process for accounts and members.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
hear
I
so
would-
much about, ransom now, where companies are hacked and they have to pay a tremendous amount of money to get their files back.
Yeah. Mhm.
Unfortunately, it's kind of just the way it is nowadays. That's, where our culture has gone, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from the class? Give it a few seconds here. Okay, well, it looks like you've answered all the questions, and once again, I'm so impressed by the chat box today. Definitely people were engaged. Hold on. Oh yeah, I'm just looking at the chat box. One just came in. Okay, excellent. Oh, okay, everyone's saying thank you so much. All right, well, thank you both for a wonderful presentation today. And like I said, I'm issuing a challenge to the class to go in and create those free accounts and share the experience with the class next week. So with that, I'll say thank you both very much, and I'm very impressed with your product, and hopefully we'll be able to get you some new customers.
Thank you so much for having us, and I hope to see some of you in the Legacy Lab starting in October.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much, and also thank you for allowing us to record today and post on our school YouTube channel.
Of course.
All right. All right, with that, before I stop the recording, I just want to remind everyone that the second half of class is about to start. That's what we call the Open Genealogy Lab, where we all work together on our family trees. And sometimes if there's no problem with someone's family tree, we'll just sit and discuss genealogy topics. So I'd welcome you all to stay. And if you're leaving us right now, if there's anything in the chat box that you want to download before you leave, please do so, because once you log out, the chat box, if you log back in, will not be available to you. So please download now, and I hope you all stay for the second half of class. And once again, thank you, Han, and thank you, Amanda.